Favourite Place by FrazzledRose. Chapter 2. For Whom the Bell Tolls. The sound of a bell ringing brought Peter back to his current physics class. His final class of the day before he could spend another weekend at the tower with Tony and hopefully the Avengers. Normally he would spend every other weekend there, and he had been there last weekend, but his Aunt May had been asked to cover 3 night shifts at the hospital this weekend for a co-worker. She didn't want him to be alone for 3 nights. Therefore, she'd asked Tony if he could stay this weekend at the tower as well, and the billionaire had happily agreed to let him stay over. When his aunt and Tony had exchanged numbers, or had even started talking to each other about matters that concern him, like co-parents, was a mystery to him. The ringing of a bell sounded once more, but it wasn't the school bell. It sounded, oddly enough, like a church bell, which is weird considering the fact that there isn't a church within 2 miles of his school. He knows he has enhanced hearing, but even he can't hear sounds from that far away. The ringing stopped, but then drums sounded, and after that an electric guitar was added to the mix. It was a song which he had never heard before and had no idea where it was coming from. Apparently his classmates did, since all eyes were on him, even Ned's. "Why is everyone looking at me?" he whispered to his best friend sitting next to him. "Dude, that's your phone!" "What? No, that's not my ringtone. I've never even heard of this number before. Why would I have it as my ringtone?" he asked in a hushed voice. Apparently they were very bad at whispering, since MJ answered him. "That's For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, nerd, and it's coming from your phone." And that's when it clicked in his brain. He could only think of a single person who was that big of a fan of classic rock bands and would hack his phone to change his ringtone, just for the fun of it. Great. Tony, he thought as he fished his phone out of his pocket to check the caller ID. No surprise there when it showed Tony Stark on the screen. "Mr. Parker, care to elaborate with the rest of us why your phone is disturbing the class?" "You know the rules, mister." Mrs. Warren addressed him while giving him a stern glare. He stumbled to find the correct words. Sorry, Miss Warren, but someone is calling me regarding the Stark internship, and it could be important. I promise I'll be quick." He made a conscious decision to not tell her that it was Tony Stark himself that was calling him, not wanting to make a big fuss out of it. Miss Warren sighed before caving. "I'll allow it, but only this once. There is something irresistible about the puppy dog eyes of that kid," she thought. He quickly thanked her before stepping out into the hallway, ignoring Flash's comments about his lies and the fact that he could never have an internship with SI. "Mr. Stark?" "Hey, kid. Just calling to ask you what you'd like for dinner tonight. We have a bit of a debate going on here. You see, Clint and I want pizza, Nat wants Chinese takeout, and Bruce and Steve Thai. You're..." Peter cut him off before he could continue. "Wait, you mean to tell me that you're calling me in the middle of the day when I'm in school just to ask what I want for dinner tonight?" Peter ran his hand through his curls in frustration. "Well, yeah. You see, you have the casting vote here. Except if you were to side with Nat, then we'd still have a tie." "I had permission to step out of my class to answer your phone call because I told my teacher it could be something important regarding my internship. Also, I was humiliated in front of my entire class because someone thought it would be funny to hack my phone, change my ringtone to some Metallica song, and turn the volume all the way up. Thanks for that, by the way. You have the audacity to tell me you just called me what I want for dinner because 5 adults can't decide what to order and have to rely on a high schooler to cast the final vote." He could hear Tony chuckle on the other end of the line. "Pretty much. So, what's it gonna be?" "Tie." He hung up the phone before he could hear Steve's protest on him siding with Steve rather than his mentor. All eyes were on him when he re-entered the classroom and resumed his seat next to his best friend. So much for being inconspicuous at school. Once seated, he could feel his phone buzz from an incoming text. "Forgot to tell you, Happy won't be able to pick you up today. Someone else will be there to pick you up at 3. Tony." Peter stared at the text message in confusion. Why wouldn't Happy be able to drive him to the tower today? And who is? He was pulled from his thoughts by the sound of Flash shouting at him from the other side of the room. "Yo, P&S! Got a call from SI to inform you that your internship has been terminated? Oh, wait, you need an actual internship for that to happen." He opened his mouth to reply, but Ned beat him to it. "Not that it's any of your business, but that was Tony Stark calling him." Flash snorted. "Yeah, keep dreaming, losers. There's no way he knows Tony Stark. Or has an internship at SI. The uni accepts college interns. Mr. Thompson, enough! Everyone, turn to your attention back to the board, please." Flash remained silent after that. Peter loves his best friend. He really does. But sometimes he wished he would tone it down a little when it came with all his talk about him knowing Tony Stark and all. The internship is a cover-up for him being Spider-Man, and is supposedly to protect his identity. He doesn't want everyone to know that he actually works with Tony Stark himself, because, well, that will lead only to more questions. Questions that he can't answer truthfully. His thoughts wander back to his conversation with Tony over the phone, and the embarrassment that the man had brought him today. "Hey, Ned, do you think you could hack a phone for me?" he asked him with a grin plastered on his face. Peter closed his locker and walked towards the double doors that would lead him outside. They walked through the exit when he and Ned noticed a forming crowd around a black sports car. Both the vehicle and the person leaning against it had garnered attention from their fellow classmates. They shared a look before walking down the steps to investigate. When they approached the crowd, Peter heard a very familiar voice. "Crap!" he thought, suddenly feeling the urge to flee the scene. "Dude, that's your ride?" Ned said, beaming. "It appears so," Peter grumbled a reply. "Your life is so cool, man. When are you letting me come over to the tower?" "When you're able to remain cool when meeting Tony and the other Avengers instead of all going fanboy on them." "What? I can totally be cool." "Wait, the other Avengers? As in, you live with the Avengers? You've met them? Dude, that's so unbelievably cool!" Peter smiled at his friend's rambling. "Yes, I live with them when they're home during the weekends when I'm at the tower. If you've been paying closer attention, you'd have noticed by now that one of them is standing next to that sports car, here to pick me up." He laughed at the wonder-struck expression on Ned's face as they slowly fought their way through the crowd of students. Ned squealed at the sight in front of him. Peter had long ago recognized the voice of the man being bombarded with questions by his fellow classmates. But it only just now dawned on Ned who it was. None other than freaking Hawkeye! Or just Clint to him. "Peter, you have to let me come over and introduce me to the Avengers!" "Maybe some other time." "Ah, there you are, Squirt!" Clint's voice sounded as Peter fought his way through the mess of students. "You know Peter?" Cindy asked while Flash shot him a dirty look. "You bet I know Peter. I made to pick him up after all." He ruffled Peter's hair as he answered Cindy's question. "Clint, not here. Please." Peter was about to die from embarrassment. "You call him Clint?" By now all of his classmates were staring at him, especially Flash. If looks could kill, he'd have been murdered by Flash right about now. Great. Now with all his previous attempts to keep his life with Tony Stark and the Avengers a secret, had been for nothing. He was bombarded with questions all at once. "How do you know Hawkeye? Do you know the other Avengers? Do you really know Tony Stark? Can you introduce me to the Avengers?" He felt cornered. "What do you say we get out of here, kid? Maybe we'll have time for another game of Mario Kart without Steve hogging the good controller." Yes, sounds good. See you on Monday, Ned. He waved at his best friend, leaving his astounded classmates behind, and got into the passenger seat. Well, that was fun, Clint said when Peter was buckled in, as he drove off while ruffling his hair again. Please tell me this is the one and only time one of you guys will be picking me up from school, Peter said as he attempted to flatten his curls that were now standing out in every direction. He felt like jumping out of the rolling vehicle when a smirk appeared on Clint's face. Yep, I'm screwed. It had taken Peter a lot of convincing to get Ned to hack Tony's phone and change the ringtone. His best friend kept reminding him that hacking another person's phone is a felony, especially if that phone belongs to none other than Tony frickin' Stark. Guy in the chair, remember? He doesn't know you, therefore he will never suspect it was you that hacked his phone. He'd told his friend, who had then reluctantly agreed to his request, but had gone on to reminisce that it was yet Tony Stark didn't know who he was yet, and he owed him big time. Tony was currently in a meeting with a Secretary of Defense and the President himself when his phone rang. They had called for a meeting after Tony had advocated for Secretary Ross to be removed from his duties regarding the Accords. He explicitly remembers putting his phone on silent before the meeting had started. He also remembers the sound of his ringtone, which is clearly not the Darth Vader theme. The only reason he actually knows what the Darth Vader theme sounds like is because of Peter's persistent request of watching Star Wars whenever he is staying over. He actually laughed upon hearing his new ringtone, and couldn't help but feel pride tugging at his heart. The kid had guts, he had to give him that, and he probably deserved it after he had done the same thing to him. I'm sorry, but I fail to see the humour in this situation, Mr. Stark. The Secretary of Defense addressed him, not pleased with the sudden interruption. He glanced at the caller ID, Happy, before pressing ignore. He would have to wait until after the meeting. Happy was running errands for him that day instead of picking up Peter from school. Therefore he knew he wasn't calling him regarding his kid and didn't feel the pressing need to answer the call. He glanced at his phone again, however, when it buzzed with an incoming text from Happy. I think Friday has been hacked. She has been referring to you as Mr. Stank whenever I asked if you were coming back, and called me a boomer. Happy. I'm going to kill that kid, Tony mumbled to himself. Apparently, Peter has transcended him in the art of pranking. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. That was a funny one. Though admittedly, as someone whose phone has gone off in the middle of class once or twice before, I'm commiserating with Peter on this front. And it looks like we're having another curbside pickup sort of thing as well, with the other Avengers coming to pick Peter up from school. I just loved that as a concept, which is why I did that one. And here I am with this one. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, cousins and bino pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.